Hey everyone, what's going on? Before I even begin in this video, if you're new to the channel, please go to the video description and check out at least the top two links, and they're called How to Gematria. One's 15 minutes, the other one's 4 minutes. If you don't check out them links, you're not going to understand what I'm talking about. And gematria, which what I am going to talk about, is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And it stems back even to Jewish mysticism, which is Kabbalah, which is the belief that God created the world by merging the letter with the number. And that's what gematria is. It's the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And every single day, our mainstream media is scripted with this system. For example, you might get a story of a building that burnt down that was 77 stories tall, and whoever burned it down, they'll have a name. And if you do his name in gematria, it equals 77. And he might have been a 77-year-old guy. Literally, this type of stuff happens all of the time in the mainstream media. And our sports leagues are scripted this way as well. And our history is scripted this way. And it's all interrelated. Things that happen in the sports games are connected to the things that are happening in the media, and the media stories also give you hints at what's going on in the scripted sports leagues. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the WWE and the Royal Rumble tonight. And everybody knows that that's scripted, but the NBA, the PGA Tour, the NFL, it's no different. It's all scripted. They just don't want you to know about it, and they don't teach you that. And if you understand gematria, you'll see how all of these games are scripted, and just all of the media stories about sports athletes are scripted. So that being said, just check out the links. And the reason that I'm making this video is because earlier today, before I went to work, I saw on Zachary K. Hubbard's blog that the Royal Rumble is held in Philadelphia this year, and it even had this thing about Ronda Rousey. And I was like, interesting, because recently I've been talking about Ronda Rousey and the death of Roddy Piper. And since November, I've been talking about how everything that I've been talking about is synced up to what I was talking about in 2015. And in 2015, I was talking all about the Pope's visit to the United States that ended in Philadelphia, and also a possible earthquake near Philadelphia and possibly a bridge collapse. And this year in December, we got the 4.1 earthquake in Delaware that the mainstream media articles reported. It was felt in Philadelphia. And in gematria, the word Super Bowl equals 41. And then now we have the Philadelphia Eagles who made the Super Bowl, right? And in 2015, it was the 333rd year of Philadelphia being founded. Philadelphia Eagles equals 333 in gematria. Anyway, I'm going to try to keep this short. I'm not going to ramble on as much as I usually do. But check out the links in the description. I've made tons of videos. I just made a video just the other night about the movie Field of Dreams, or not necessarily the movie, but how this real field was vandalized, and it's a riddle for earthquakes, and it's connected to Philadelphia. And I even talked about Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, and Ronda Rousey or whatever. This is January 25th, and I even posted a blog post about it on January 22nd. I don't even watch the WWE. I had no idea that Ronda Rousey was even gonna be part of it, so just been following this pattern of something completely not connected, but it was connected, And I'll explain a little bit, I guess. So Hulk Hogan is important to the NFL this year because of his initials, HH. And H is the 8th letter of the alphabet. So if you put them together, it's a lot like an 88. And think about him, Mr. America, Donald Trump, Make America Great Again, a bunch of other stuff. But HH is 88. And in gematria, Trump equals 88. And the word kneel, synced up to the NFL, equals 88. Just like Colin Kaepernick. You know, this is why we're getting Colin Kaepernick doing this. Colin Kaepernick equals 88. The Star Spangled Banner equals 88 in gematria. See that? Star Spangled Banner. U.S. Bank Stadium, where the Super Bowl is held, 88. This year is the 88th anniversary of the stock market crash falling. And think about that in regards to U.S. Bank Stadium, right? And Herbert Hoover was the president during the stock market crash. HH 88, the 88th anniversary of the stock market crash. Herbert Hoover equals the same as Donald Trump, 159. Donald Trump equals 159, right? Francis Key, the guy who wrote the national anthem, 159. But it's all synced up. Even stock market crash equals 103. And the anniversary of Black Thursday, October 24th, the stock market crash beginning, is 103 days before the Super Bowl this year in U.S. Bank Stadium. So Hulk Hogan was HH. And I noticed this pattern of everything being connected to what I was talking about in 2015 in regards to Philadelphia. And Hulk Hogan, if you recall, got his ribs broke by earthquake, right? And that was, he broke his ribs on the Brother Love show. Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love. And then Hulk Hogan got his revenge on SummerSlam that was held in Philadelphia at the Spectrum, right? So connections to earthquakes. Even Earthquake's name, John Tenta, that's his real name, 107 in gematria, just like the word earthquake. You know, that's why he is called Earthquake. And I talked about a whole bunch of other stuff. The movie Happy Gilmore, where Happy Gilmore learns how to putt on the earthquake golf course, and the building that falls over, it has the black cube on the top. That the only building that you can find that looks like that is the Comcast Center in Philadelphia. You know, a bunch of other connections that possibly I'll mention later on in this video, such as, yeah, whatever. We'll move on, but understand the HH is why I thought Hulk Hogan would be important. Also being Mr. America, you know, and the guy who even wrote his theme song is Rick Derringer, and Abraham Lincoln got shot with the Philadelphia Derringer. Just think about all the division and the race stuff, Civil War type theming. But anyway, in 2015, we got the story about Hulk Hogan making racist remarks. Something to do with his daughter dating a black guy. And if she's going to date a black guy, he should be an 8-foot tall black guy or something along the lines of that, right? And then just after Hulk Hogan was in the media, we got the death of Roddy Piper. And Roddy Piper is in that movie called They Live, where he wears the sunglasses and he can see the truth of the world, right? And, you know, just like what gematria is. If you understand what I'm talking about, you'll see how all of this is a code. And in that movie, he shoots up the news people. And not even a month after Roddy Piper died, we got the Bridgewater shooting, the Monetta, Virginia Bridgewater shooting. And if you look at it, this is the big picture they gave you. Franklin County, Bridgewater Plaza, you know, Franklin Bridge. And I said, interesting, you know, the Franklin Bridge is in Philadelphia, right? And even on the bottom over here, they talk about the NASCAR guy who died in Pennsylvania. Once again, the area of Philadelphia, right? And even in regards to where the Super Bowl is being played this year, Minneapolis, famous for the bridge collapse on 8/1. The bridge collapse on 8/1 that fell 81 feet supposedly. A ton of stuff I've been talking about with the number 81 and bridges. Golden Gate Bridge equals 81. And this year will be 81 years old. But anyway, the day after Roddy Piper died, that we got UFC 190 with Ronda Rousey, right? And she even accepted that nickname from Roddy Piper because Roddy Piper had said that it was okay that she was called Ronda Rousey. And it's just so funny because This stuff happens all of the time, and yet nobody knows what I'm talking about. Nobody can understand it. It doesn't make any sense, you know? If you just follow what I'm saying, I'm telling you, I talk about stuff and then it literally comes up, and I don't know how it's done or whatever. I'm just following this code and it happens, you know? So I got off work and I watched just the women's Royal Rumble because it was the first women's Royal Rumble. That's all I caught when I got home because I don't have it recorded. I didn't buy it. I just found it on Cody or whatever. And Ronda Rousey was never in it, never in it. And then at the very end, Ronda Rousey comes out, right? And this is the first thing I see. This lettering that's kind of like the fire lettering. And she's wearing a shirt that says Hot Ronda. Well, it's an obvious Roddy Piper tribute. So it's like, what are the odds that I just a week ago started talking about Hulk Hogan? I brought up the Roddy Piper stuff, you know, again. And I'll leave videos of links in the description of what I was talking about with Roddy Piper because he was on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well, and is even the 52nd episode, right? Super Bowl 52, and it's all about wrestling, and they wanted to be the Eagles, but then they ended up being the Birds of War that equals 52, and the word birds equals 52. Last year, the Patriots beat the Birds, you know, and they played the Falcons because the Falcons were the Blackbird, and it was synced up to Charles Manson, who said that, you know, the song Blackbird by the Beatles was telling black people to rise up over the whites. And now we have the Eagles playing the Patriots again for the first time since what, Super Bowl 39 was it? And Paul McCartney, the guy who wrote Blackbird, he was the guy who did the halftime show, you know? It's all just interrelated, and we got the death of Charles Manson earlier this year. Also, I was thinking in regards to earthquakes, Royal Rumble, you know, just sounds like something, a rumble, right? Doesn't that remind you of an earthquake? We didn't get one today, but these things don't always mean that it's going to happen on that same day. It might just be synced up to the Royal Rumble, the biggest rumble, you know what I'm saying? Something very interesting. Even Ronda Rousey, if you remember, she was on WrestleMania 31, and WrestleMania 31 was the one where Triple H came out wearing his Terminator stuff, right? And then they even showed the clip of the Golden Gate Bridge, right? It was because of the movie Terminator Genesis, where there's this big bus crash on the Golden Gate Bridge. And I'll come back to this, but, you know, that WrestleMania was even in Levi's Stadium that's in the San Francisco Bay Area. Think about it. The Rock, right? Think about earthquakes in regards to rocks. Talked about Philadelphia in regards to Rocky, the boxer. And then Carl Weathers is Chubbs in the movie Happy Gilmore. He's also Apollo Creed, right? Who dies on the anniversary of the biggest East Coast earthquake 99 years after on August 31st, 1985. But anyway, so it is all about bridges and stuff, you know. Even Pittsburgh Steelers equals 81. Pittsburgh is the city of bridges. And I talked about Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bean Bryant equals 81. Think about his 81-point game. And Kobe Bryant, the Philadelphia native. Now, this is all kinds of stuff with it. And the Minnesota bridge that was on 8-1 and it fell 81 feet, right? Roddy Piper died on July 31st. And the very next day, Ronda Rousey won her last fight. Her final fight that she won, she became 12-0. She won, and that was on 8/1, August 1st. You know, it's all synced up to the same stuff that I keep talking about. But the shirt that she's wearing, this is another reason why it's so important to Philadelphia. The shirt, Hot Ronda in gematria equals 333. Just like Philadelphia Eagles, 2015, the 333rd year of Philadelphia. I also, if you pay enough attention, the guy who won the Royal Rumble and the men's Royal Rumble, he's from Japan. This guy, whatever, Shinsuke Nakamura, or however you pronounce it. He's from Japan. And then the girl who won was this girl, Asuka, or something like that. And yeah, she's also from Japan. So something interesting makes me think of earthquakes. Japan seemingly has a bunch of earthquakes. We even had an Alaskan earthquake just, what was it? Not even like 5 days ago. And in 2015, almost on the exact same day, we had an Alaskan earthquake. But after the Alaskan earthquake this year, we got one in Japan again, right? It reminds you of Fukushima and whatever else. So I don't know. I haven't thought enough into that yet, but I guarantee there's something in regards to how it's connected with Japan. So I re-looked up Roddy Piper, and he died at the age of 61. Back when I made my other videos in 2015, I didn't know about reverse gematria, and Ronda Rousey equals 61 in reverse gematria. So even more syncs up to the death of Roddy Piper at the age of 61. I pointed out too, Roddy Piper's full name equals 224, and the guy who won the Royal Rumble, his birthday is on 2/24, January 24th, or February 24th. Also a big thing in regards to Ronda Rousey coming out tonight. So she comes out with all the Roddy Piper stuff, right? Oh, the odds that I've been talking about that, and then this happens. But she comes out and she doesn't even say anything. She just comes out and she points at the WrestleMania sign. Basically, you take it as she's hinting that she's gonna be in WrestleMania 34, right? WrestleMania 34. If you watch the links in the description, I'm gonna leave my original videos about Roddy Piper and Ronda Rousey in 2015. I even bring up the number 34 a decent amount because Ronda Rousey won her fight in 34 seconds even. And in regards to the number 61, if you write out 34, it equals 61. Philadelphia in reverse equals 61. And I also pointed out that the year 1981, so 81 is this one synced up to bridges and whatnot. And the girl who just won, Asuka or whatever, she's born in the year 81. But in my old video, I talked about how 1981 was 34 years up until 2015. And I even talked about Kobe being Bryant, and he equals 81, but I talked about his 81-point game and how he has a lot of connections to the number 34, such as tearing his Achilles at the age of 34. And in that game, he scored 34 points, and he came back 34 weeks later, and he couldn't play with number 34 Shaq, you know. And the year that he retired, the Warriors, the team that he tore his Achilles against, the Warriors beat him by 34 points just before he retired, or announced his retirement with Deer Basketball. And, Deer Basketball equals the same thing as Kobe Bryant. 41, 113, Kobe Bryant. 41, 113, Kobe probably didn't even write that poem himself. I even mentioned that Ronda Rousey fights out of Santa Monica, California, that's located on 34 degrees north. Can't even remember it all. The girl that she beat in UFC 190, she's 34 years old right now. How ironic. And then the girl that she lost her first fight to, Holly Holm, she was 34 years old when Ronda Rousey lost to her or whatever. And she's even interesting in regards to earthquakes because her birthday, October 17th, which October 17th is what I just talked about with my Field of Dreams video, how Field of Dreams was synced up to the World Series in 1989, which was the Earthquake World Series that happened on October 17th, Before I go farther, I want to, look, so Ronda Rousey wins UFC 190 just after Roddy Piper dies. And I didn't know reverse gematria at the time. But look, Roddy Piper equals 190. And then Ronda Rousey wins her 12th and final fight at UFC 190 the day after Roddy Piper dies. Also, if you write out 34 in the reverse, it equals 56, just like Ronda Rousey. So super fitting. I also pointed out, interesting that that fight was 911 days ago. So just interesting. Everybody knows about 9/11. 9/11 absolutely by the numbers. Flight 77 at the 77-foot tall Pentagon, exactly 77 minutes after takeoff on the 77th meridian. If you write out September 11th, it equals 77 in gematria. World Trade Center is 110 stories tall. Osama bin Laden equals 110. Building 7, 47 stories tall. Osama bin Laden, the small way, equals 47. The word president equals 47. President also equals 110. Rockefeller equals 110. World Trade Center is proposed and approved by a Rockefeller. The Pentagon even has Highway 110 next to it. I believe if you write out 911, it equals 110 in gematria. Which is interesting, too, to think about, considering where the Super Bowl is this year, because Minnesota equals 110 in gematria. So Ronda Rousey then, she lost her first fight to Holly Holm, another HH. So another reason why it's significant, HH, the 88. But she lost it in UFC 193. 193 is the 44th prime. Remember the word earthquake equals 44. And with the end date, she even lost her first fight 107 days after this fight on August 1st, after Roddy Piper died. Earthquake the big way, 107. Roddy Piper, born on the 107th day of the year, and his real name, Roderick George Toombs, equals 107. And if you go from his birthday to the day of this Ronda Rousey fight, it's 107 days, So super big to 107. The word earthquake equals 107. Holly Holm even connected to, shares a birthday of when she was 7 was when the 1989 World Series earthquake happened. Ronda Rousey's final fight then against Amanda Nunes, and she lost or whatever. Look at Amanda Nunes, 44 and 107. Also 190 in reverse. It stems back to UFC 190, her final win. Connected to earthquakes. In the episode of It's Always Sunny with Philadelphia, the 52nd episode, right? They do a joke about Seal or whatever. This guy right here, Seal, and the song Kiss from a Rose. And I just documented this because I document all of these weird things that go on. But just last night, I was at my cousin's house and we were playing some game on Alexa or whatever, the Alexa thing, some song game, and the Seal thing came on and we all laughed because we were all like, oh, I haven't heard that song in forever and I like that song or whatever. And then, just interesting. I wonder if we're going to start seeing something with Seal. Maybe Seal will be in the media. Who knows, Said the same thing about the Stand By Me stuff because I was following a pattern with the movie Stand By Me, and then all of a sudden we got the Sutherland Springs church shooting, and what's his name? Will Wheaton or whatever. I said Will Wheaton and Kiefer Sutherland were the only two people I hadn't seen yet. Then a few days later we got Sutherland Church Springs shooting, and Will Wheaton came out on Fox News and said that people prayed and they still died and they shouldn't pray or whatever. But that song Kiss from a Rose is also on Batman Forever, which is the one with Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and Jim Carrey uses gematria to code his riddles for Batman, and that's how Batman figures out who it is, right? He adds up the letters with the number, adds up the letters to figure out that they mean that they're a number, and he figures it out that it's Mr. Enigma, and Enigma is a mystery or whatever. Mr. E, and then Mr. E Enigma, and the guy is Edward Nigma. And the Batman stuff is truly very important to earthquakes and whatever else. Remember in the Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, where I think it was that movie in 2012, where the Super Bowl or whatever, the football game collapses, right? And in 2015, right around the same time Roddy Piper died, we got the train wreck shooting, right? The train wreck shooting at the theater, which was reminding us of the Batman theater shooting. And then we got the Antioch theater shooting. And then we got James Holmes getting sentenced, the guy who shot up the Batman movie. And we had Donald Trump at the Iowa State Fair saying he was Batman. We had Morgan Freeman's granddaughter dying, and Fox News showed him at the Batman premiere with her. And we had the guy who dressed up like Batman who died, who went around to hospitals. He died. We had the death of Batgirl in August that year, just before the Bridgewater shooting. We had, oh, there was one more Batman one. I can't even remember it. There was all kinds of stuff with Batman. You know, earlier in this year, we even had the death of Adam West, who was like the original Batman, you know. So Batman's really important to what's going on. In 2015, before the Super Bowl, or, you know, the 2015 season, I was talking about Batman and how it was synced up to the Super Bowl. So possibly we'll see that at this Super Bowl. You know, I don't think so. I don't think there's going to be anything real big at the Super Bowl. But I wouldn't be surprised. I've been following this theme, and everything I've been talking about is synced up to this year. So possibly we will get an earthquake or, you know, a terrorist attack at the Super Bowl. I don't want to think so, you know, so I'm just saying I don't think so. But if it does happen, you know, I was on the right track this whole time and I wasn't, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, in regards to wrestling, I just started thinking about Jesse Ventura, the 38th, what was he, the governor of Minnesota, the 38th one. Minnesota equals 38, you know. It's just so stupid. Minnesota equals 38. Doesn't LII equals 38? Super Bowl LII? No. Yeah, Super Bowl LII equals 163, which I believe is the 38th prime number even. Yep, the 38th prime number, you know, it's all synced up. So we also had the death of Prince in 2 years ago or whatever. And Prince is even synced up to Philadelphia. Prince equals 65 in gematria. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Prince equals 38. Prince equals 65. Philadelphia equals 65. We have Will Smith, who's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and, you know, the Diggs guy from the Minnesota Vikings wearing the Fresh Prince cleats, and the death of Uncle Phil way back in the day that was synced up to the death of the football player Will Smith in New Orleans. And Will Smith, the actor, was in the movie Focus. That's all about the New Orleans Saints. But anyway, moving on. It's already way longer. I wanted to make it short. Never happens. I noticed that Jesse Ventura's real name, James George Janos, equals 65, like Philadelphia. Also 88, right? Synced up with the Super Bowl. Just his name, James Janos, equals 107 and 163, just like Super Bowl LII, but also just like Earthquake. And then in regards to 34, his nickname, The Body, equals 34. Also, in regards to this, so WrestleMania 31 that Ronda Rousey came into, and then they showed the Golden Gate Bridge stuff. Terminator Genesis equals 231, which is this big number that I've talked about. National Anthem equals 231. Yeah. I'm not going to go on a tangent, but The Price is Right equals 231, which is synced up to Happy Gilmore as well with Bob Barker and whatnot. And, you know, talked about the day before the Las Vegas shooting. Somebody reached out for me from Las Vegas that was on the guy who got the perfect showcase from The Price is Right. and a bunch of other stuff. I talked about the death of Ralphie May, and I thought he would possibly die this year. And he died in October this year, and he died 231 days after his birthday, and the video I made came out on the 231st day, and he died of cardiac arrest that equals 231. But this 231 is also Ariana Grande equals 231. Think about, the concert attack with Ariana Grande. I also pointed out in regards to California and also Jesse Ventura, the two wrestlers, Carl Weathers, who's Chubbs on Happy Gilmore, also Apollo Creed and whatnot. He was in the movie Predator with both of them guys, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's character's name is Dutch in that. Dutch equals 231 and satanic. And it's something that I've been following for a while now. I knew there was something to do with Dutch. Think about the Pennsylvania Dutch. And even the death of Darren Dalton earlier this year, the former Philadelphia Philly. His nickname was Dutch. In that post about Darren Dalton, I even brought up the Natalie Holloway story, the missing girl with Joran Vandersloot or whatever. And I mentioned how they brought up the fact that he was Dutch, and that was every story said that he was Dutch or whatever. And she went missing in 2005, which was the year that the Eagles played the Patriots in the Super Bowl or whatever, And there was also a story about the guy who plays Shooter McGavin, right, in Happy Gilmore. He just got arrested around the World Series this year, and he's in the movie called Dutch. He's the dad or whatever on the movie Dutch with Al Bundy, the guy who plays Al Bundy, Ed O'Neill. Something interesting, something synced up to that. Even if you go back and watch the movie Happy Gilmore, it begins with the song Freebird, and the movie ends with the song Tuesday's Gone, the Leonard Skinner songs. Leonard Skinner just announced their farewell tour or whatever, and they did it 333 days after Johnny Van Zant's birthday. And just a couple weeks ago, I even mentioned how I think Johnny Van Zant, or I mentioned it in the video, but I know I wrote it in a blog sooner than that. I mentioned how he might possibly die this year. And then the next day or a couple days later, we get Leonard Skinner announcing their farewell tour, 333 days. They're all about the Confederate flag that equals 333 that was important in 2015. Even with like Freddie Gray and whatnot. Freddie Gray gets hurt on the anniversary of the Civil War beginning, and then he dies on the anniversary of the first death in the Civil War, and whatever else, Gray and the gray coats. We had all kinds of stuff with Gray that year. What was it? Gray, the guy on, can't even remember. McDreamy or whatever at Grey's Anatomy left or something, or he died, got killed off. We had that book or whatever that was made into a movie, Gray, 50 Shades of Gray. And the Confederates wore different shades of gray, but it's for a separate long video, so eventually I'll get there, but definitely something going on with Leonard Skinner. But it's synced up to the movie Happy Gilmore. Once again, that movie is very important to a lot of stuff I've talked about all year long. Anyway, we'll just leave it there. But well, I guess in WrestleMania 31 too, they brought back the NWO with Hulk Hogan, right? If you remember that, they brought back the NWO. But I'm just gonna leave the video there. I just wanted to make this point about how I was talking about Ronda Rousey being synced up to the death of Roddy Piper, and out of nowhere, Ronda Rousey is going to be in the WWE now, and she even does this tribute to Roddy Piper, and it's synced up to Philadelphia. It's synced up to what I was talking about 2015. So keep following the story. We'll see what's going on with it. I don't know enough about wrestling to completely follow it because I haven't watched wrestling probably since WrestleMania 2 years ago or something, So have a good one. Peace.